Sal. So I have a history with this book. It's the second Stephen King book I read 8 years ago, I guess. And I love Stephen King. Okay, like, the first book that I read was The Dark Half. And I was like, okay, I feel this, I'm feeling this. And then I read Cell, and I was like, okay, I'm still with you. And then I read The Long Walk, and I was like, okay, I'm in. Like, for the rest of my life. So, this was important to me. I wanted to watch the movie, and I went in with very low expectations. As much as I love Stephen King, he keeps giving the rights to his movies, and people just keep, like, not doing them right. There's a few that are good, like, as much as people give, like, Lifetime shit for being shitty movies, Lifetime did a great job at adapting Big Driver. Like, oh my god, it was actually perfect. And A Good Marriage was really good. It was on TV the other day. I was like, oh my god, that's right, A Good Marriage was really good. Misery was accurate, I guess. Carrie was good. The Shining sucked as an adaptation, like, sucked. And there's so many terrible ones. Like, more recently, what comes to mind is Under the Dome. I watched the first episode and I was like, this is fucking shit. I'm not watching this. And I went in with very little expectations, especially because I don't like John Cusack. And the last thing I saw him in was The Bagman, and that was fucking funny. So, I went in with little expectations, and I was still disappointed. Oh my god, this movie sucked. Wow, like, how and why, and stop giving the rights to your movies. And they're making The Dark Tower, and this is not helping me calm down. This movie sucked, oh my god. And, like, it sucked as an adaptation, and I understand that they cannot, do everything the way it's in the books, word for word. I get that. I'm good with change, but at least change it so it makes sense, and change it when you have reason to. And they just, I don't know, it sucked. And it sucks as a movie on its own, honestly. Like, forget about the book, forget that this exists already, it sucks as a book. And I remember watching the trailer, and I thought, this is bullshit. It looked like a huge movie, and it looked like they were trying to cash in on the whole zombie thing, even though they're not zombies in the movie. They wanted to sort of get in on that, because they're the closest thing to a zombie they could find. So, right off the start, I had reservations, and the movie started, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. It started off really well in the airport, and the violence, it was very violent. It felt very low budget, and I like that. It's very Stephen King atmosphere, and, I was really into it. I was really, really excited, and I was really, pleasantly surprised. And about, like, half an hour into it, I was still like, okay, we're going somewhere, and then just, like, like, stop. The characters were okay in terms of what they were in the books. That's fine. Some events were altered, which is totally fine. I get that. Like, a few deaths here and there, that's totally fine and acceptable for the, sake of time. Why wait to kill someone, like, 40 minutes after we can kill them now? And it's totally fine. Like, no problem there. But then they missed an entire, like, subplot, which I understand it's a movie and you don't have a lot of time to get into it, but this movie was only an hour and a half. Couldn't you have spent, like, 17 more minutes for the actual subplot of the book? And for those of you that don't know, the book is about, and the movie is about, a signal that is sent to everyone through their phones all at once, and everyone that talks on the phone, answers the phone, sort of loses their mind and gets blasted with the signal and becomes very violent. And people start killing each other, and it's incredibly violent. But then those people sort of group together, and they start evolving little by little every day, they start, they stop being aggressive to each other, and they start being aggressive only to normies, people that weren't blasted with the signal, and then they start developing their own language and using tools and being smarter about the way they trap people. They start using tricks, and it was just very, like, oh my god, like, they're evolving, and you don't know what the signal is, why it's here, what its purpose is, but basically, the theory in the book is that they are the next stage of evolution in humankind, and, they start thinking collectively like a beehive, and they only move together in a single organism, and blah, blah, blah. So that's the basic plot, but then there's something underneath, which is the main character, John Cusack, him and his group, they start having dreams, and they have all the same dreams. So it's like, that seems important to me, because they're not part of the signal group, so why the fuck are they having the same type of dream? And of course, it's sort of the leader of the people with the signal, red hoodie from Harvard guy, and there's like a connection there, and they start communicating in the book, and there's like a whole thing, and he's very much present, and in the movie they were just like, fuck that, we do not feel like dealing with that shit, so he does show up, and they do the whole dream sequence, and but the whole consequence of that is completely gone. They don't communicate with him, he doesn't go fuck up their shit, he doesn't, actually establish a connection with them, he was just sort of there, and it's like, why? And I'm not gonna get into the ending, but the ending of the book is one of my favorite parts. It's like, when I rarely remember endings to things, like, even if I really liked what I was reading or watching or whatever, I do not remember endings. Because to me, it's not about that. To me, it's about the journey, and it's about what made me feel. But this one, I clearly remember the ending, and I was like, I had already prepared myself that they were gonna fuck it up, and they weren't gonna do it. And they didn't do it. But they did something so stupid, and it's like, stop, just stop. Like, it was so good in the book. Like, why would you even, if you want to change it that bad, at least make it good. The ending sucked, and it went on forever, and it was just, stop, just end. And like the last 15 minutes were total darkness in the movie, and I was like, what am I watching? What am I doing? Like, what's happening? Do I care? No. This movie was so fucking slow. And the book was the same. The book had a lot of slow parts in the middle. I remember the Dark Half was a lot more action-packed, so when I got into Cell, I was like, okay, we're taking a break now, okay, like, I get it, it's slower. But with the book, I feel like it's okay, because you're in it, you're reading it, you're physically reading it and interpreting it, and it's okay if it's a little slow. But with the movie, you're not actively participating, you're just sitting there and watching, so if it's really slow, it's fucking boring. And there was a lot of parts where it was just like, nothing's happening. There's not even like actual dialogue that I care about. I do not give a shit about any of this. So I was just really disappointed. Like, oh my god. And again, The Dark Tower is coming, apparently, supposedly, allegedly. They're doing it. Stephen King posted like a teaser pic, and it's gonna suck. Like, if this is the level, like, and Cell, it's not a hard book to adapt into a movie, honestly. Like, it's not, there's not a ton of things that are happening, and there's not, magic and shit like that, like in The Dark Tower. Like, how the fuck are they gonna do that with the magic? It's gonna look so ridiculous. Yeah, I'm, like, really sad that this movie happened. Like, it could have been good. I remember reading the book, and it was, like, the book came out 10 years ago. I read it 8 years ago, and I remember there were talks of a movie adaptation. And I always, like, went back to it, to check on the progress of the movie. And I hadn't done that in a while. The trailer dropped and I was like, what? But, you know, the movie was in talks for so long and I thought, okay, they're making it work. And it's like, no, it didn't work at all. It didn't work at all. And I'm just really sad. I'm just really sad and tired. Like, just stop adapting his shit. Just stop. You're gonna fuck it up. Just stop doing it. So yeah. 11/22/63 was actually good with James Franco. That was a good adaptation, a miniseries based on his book about time travel in order to stop the JFK assassination. That was actually good. Of course, they also skipped like a bunch of things, but for time's sake, and it was totally fine. And the way they skipped it made sense. And you know, in the book, he travels back to the 60s like a few times before he actually attempts the assassination, and they were like, okay, let's move on. And I get that, because you're gonna spend like another 3 episodes on that bullshit. So, you know, there's cuts that make sense, and there are cuts that don't. And in this case, they cut the entire fucking plot. Like, where's the communication between the normies and the phone freaks? Like, and I liked that everyone was, like, FaceTiming each other in the airport, and, you know, everyone had a cell phone, because that's reality now. This was a book written 10 years ago, and, you know, there were no smartphones and shit like that, but I like that they included that. I believe, as far as I remember, the field scene in the book included a boombox, which they did not include in the movie. For obvious reasons. I do not own a boombox. I do not know anyone that owns a functioning boombox. I think my grandparents have one. I do not think it works anymore. So I get that they kind of got rid of the boombox and was replaced with cell phones. So I get that. But other than that, it was just terrible. It was just terrible, and I hated it. And Samuel Jackson was just there, and John Cusack was just John Cusack, emotionless fucking prick. And I recommend watching The Bagman with John Cusack, getting drunk with your friends, watching The Bagman, and you're gonna have a blast. Like, oh my god, that movie's so much fun. It's terrible, but in a good way. This is terrible in a very bad way, because they actually tried. They fucking tried, and it's just sad. They don't give a shit. And I'm like, why? Just why? Why try to make a good movie if you don't actually give a shit? So, sell, thumbs down. I wish I was blasted with the signal as I was watching it. And, yeah, Stephen King, stop doing this to me. Like, just stop giving the rights to your movies to these random people. Just stop. I will be happy if no one ever adapts a Stephen King book ever again. Just stop. And you know we're gonna get to that point where they start remaking shit. Because Carrie was remade like 17 times, right? Like, we're gonna start doing that. And if we do that, at least make me a good Pet Cemetery. Like, at least do that. At least adapt good shit like Rage and I don't even know, like Blaze. That I cried like a little bitch during Blaze. And just adapt shit that hasn't been adapted and make it good. It doesn't have to include magic. Or they could adapt The Eyes of the Dragon. That's like a fairy tale. Why the fuck are we getting Alice in Wonderland 2? Why are we getting Snow White and the Huntsman 2? You want a fucking fairy tale? Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King. There you go. That's a fucking fairy tale.
Passengers on flight 3598, your gate number has been...
Hi, Dad.
Hey, buddy.
Are you coming home?
Yeah. Soon. Gosh.
It's terrorists, right? It's gotta
terrorists.
Don't use your cell phone.
We're gonna survive this. People are gonna die.
You okay?
They act for the good of the group as a whole. They may be the next stage in human evolution. What's happening now is more than temporary anarchy. It's the start of a war.
I want to wipe him out.
It's a suicide mission. You're gonna die.
I want to see my son. Son? You okay?
Do not withhold your mercy from us, O Lord, for troubles without number surround us. May your love and your truth protect us, for here lies the dead, dust of the earth.
Good always conquers evil. I believe that.
Are you coming home? Are you coming home? I just want you to come home.
Johnny's voice.
No, it's not.
I just
You
want you to
know
come
that
home.
is not your son.
I just want you to come
Clay,
home.
no!